Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what's going on? Episode 60 up in the mix. Let's get it. We had a pleasure of speaking with Pink Skull Queen. So first off, I want to say everyone, thank you for coming in, tuning in, showing some love. And before we get to it, you know what time it is. If you got yourself an Android or an iPhone, go to the Play Store and or the App Store. Do yourself a favor and download the FTX app today and stay up to date with the latest cryptocurrencies and NFTs. Without further ado, I am your host, Gaddis TV. What's going on, y'all? And let's get to it. Alrighty, and we are live on direct. So first off, Pink Skull, I want to say thank you for coming on, taking some time out of your, I'm assuming daytime because I see the sunlight behind you, but coming on and just talking about yourself. So thank you for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Usually how we kind of started off, a lot of people will kind of know who you are, the artwork that you have done. For people that will be listening in general, just a little background on, I guess, what got you interested in crypto in general? How long have you been doing art? I guess when did you first make your very first piece? Like, who are you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I got serious about my art in high school, and I was taking like pottery and drawing and painting classes there. And I continued to pursue that afterwards. And I've been painting now for about 4 years.
Nice. What
Yeah.
do you remember your first piece that was like, damn, I'm good, or damn, like I think I got some skills. Do you know what your first piece was?
Yeah, I remember I was a sophomore in high school. I was taking a ceramics class and I had made an abstract ceramic sculpture, inspired by Salvador Dali's most famous piece. I believe it's called The Persistence of Memory with the clocks, all the melting clocks. So I made this like huge sculptural piece that looked like it was melting with a bunch of clocks on it. And I just felt like really accomplished when I made that. I think that's probably the first time I was like very proud of something that I had made.
Nice. Do you randomly still have that, or is that lost in
I have
storage
no
somewhere?
idea where it is. Yeah, it's somewhere. I have no clue.
Yeah, no, that's because I'm not an artist by any means, but I remember I was actually art class, pottery class back in the day, and I remember I drew literally a picture of my backpack, and I was like, you know what? It wasn't the best, but I was like, I remember that because I was like, maybe I got a little bit of art skills. I was like, hold on. So been art, I guess, since the last 4 years. Where I guess were you always in I guess the skull stuff like that? I'm looking in the skull behind with the pink skull. I guess how did you get your
Yeah.
name Pink Skull? Where did that come from?
Yeah, so essentially like I've always been interested in like figure drawing and portraiture. That's like the majority of my pieces once I did start like drawing and painting were always of people. I'm like so incredibly like bored when I have to draw like a landscape or like any kind of, I don't know, like still life. I like can't stand it. So I've been drawing people for a long time. And originally the idea for the pink skull kind of just like came to me when I was brainstorming what my ideas were for a art festival when I was down living in Florida. And I was to do this giant piece. It was like 8 feet by 8 feet, a chalk mural like on the pavement. And I wanted something that I knew that I could do really well, but something that would be like really well received. So I've always kind of been into like a little like creepy kind of stuff. And so I decided to start like drawing skulls, and I thought the color pink was really like in your face kind of thing, like very pop art-y and like very memorable. So that was the first one that I had done in public, aside from like practicing before the festival. I made this huge like chalk pink skull, and I loved it. And I just kept continuing to experiment with like different angles, different colors, things like that. And like, I don't know, I just love skulls. I love like human anatomy as well. So it's helped me to better my art skills as well. Like it's easier to draw someone and make them look more realistic when you know like what's underneath.
Hmm.
So
Did you I guess like in school and stuff like that, did you might have honestly said it before. I was trying to make sure some other things were straight on this end. Did you ever see yourself, I guess, being I guess always an artist like that? I mean, I guess is that what you went to school for, or was it just one of those things where it kind of just showed up?
yeah, so when I was in high school, it was definitely like the thing that I wanted to do most, and that was my plan to go to school for art. And it ended up like not working out. I did go to college for a couple of years, but I kind of reached like a creative block and was having a lot of trouble like creating art, and I really didn't like the whole dynamic of the teacher telling me what to do and like being told what's good and what's not. I've always had this like real fierce independence and like defiance about me. And so that contributed to it as well. And then honestly, like, I mean, I just don't, I had like a bit of like a rough, unstable childhood. And when I went off to college, I just wasn't ready, honestly. So I didn't end up like finishing that. But yeah, so I basically over the years like got that creative fire back, and I was able to essentially like teach myself basically everything I know now aside from like what I learned in high school. So yeah, I'm essentially self-taught as of now. I'm looking into like taking more art classes to get better, but yeah, right now, pretty much everything I know is from a lot of like experimenting and researching other artists and their techniques.
Nice. Um, Questions because I see a skeleton behind you. Is
Yes.
that a regular? And that looks like pink too as well. Okay, okay.
Yeah, so that was actually a gift by someone in the crypto space.
No shit.
I believe
Nice.
his handle is like no excuses. So he actually, when I was living in Florida, I had a bunch of like spray paint and stuff, and I was moving out of state, and it turns out like I had been talking to him like on and off in the crypto space over the course of like a month back in August and September, and he lived like super close, and I knew that he did
Nice.
graffiti art like from or like spray paint like art based on just my interactions with him. And I told him, I was like, hey, listen, like I'm driving up, I'm moving out of state. I'll be driving by like your town. If you want this spray paint, I'm not going to use it. I don't want it in my car for 2 days, you know? So he was like, yeah, sure, totally. And so I bring it up there, give him the spray paint. I wasn't expecting like anything in return, but he gives me that skeleton, and he had painted it pink.
That's
And
dope.
it's just so beautiful. Yeah, his name is Yuri, after Brendan Urie from Panic at the Disco.
Okay,
So
okay, yo.
yeah, but I have that skeleton, and I have like a few like model human skulls and other like models that I use, books and things like that. So I kind of use it like a bit for drawing reference. It doesn't have the perfect proportions, but also it makes a really great decoration. So
Just a dead person in the back. Yeah, don't worry about it.
yeah,
It's John. You know, you're
just
good. You're good.
just hanging. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
with the I guess the art on that, is it always I guess kind of canvas stuff you've done, like the skull behind you there, and then I guess with the crypto world on like did they make an art? How did you find that? Was it soul first? Was it I guess a different currency like that way? What got you introduced in I guess soul in general?
Yeah, so essentially, I was introduced to crypto. I mean, my older brother has been involved with Bitcoin for a number of years, and I finally like took some of his advice and started investing in Bitcoin in 2020. And a few friends of mine who are actually like very active in the space and have their own project now. I was friends in real life with these people, trusted them, whatever. And I had seen on social media over the course of a few months, like a lot of them were posting all of these charts of Solana. And at the time, I was, I guess, what you could call like a Bitcoin maxi. And I was like, all these altcoins, like none of them are going to work. My friends have just like, they're just like too like optimistic, whatever. They're gonna like here, my cat's coming to say
Hey,
hello.
kitty.
Yeah. And I was just like, yeah, there's no way that's gonna be like successful or whatever. They were posting all these charts. They were wearing like the sunglasses, the pit viper sunglasses and stuff. And eventually, like over the course of a couple months, I was talking with one of my friends. Her Twitter handle is Solana Targaryen.
Mhm.
She's one of the main members of the Skyline crew. That whole crew of people that like I've known in real life for years. So I already had like a connection. So she was like, listen, this was probably in like June or July of last year. She told
Okay.
me that people were starting to do NFTs on Solana. And I had heard of NFTs and I had looked into it a little bit on Ethereum, but it looked extremely expensive. And honestly, like I didn't think my work was like good enough, to be completely honest. And at that time, when I first started looking at NFTs, I hadn't done any digital art. Um, and when my friend approached me, at that point, I'd been doing digital art for maybe like 3 months. Um, so she and her husband like sat me down in a coffee shop one Saturday and helped to onboard me onto Solana. Basically, I got like an Olaplex store. They helped me with all this stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really great, really like selfless of them, and they didn't ask anything of me. And I really had an advantage because at the time there were so few artists on Solana last summer. Like I'm pretty sure like the Metaplex like code was written in like June or something, or May or June. And then like I was like starting to create NFTs like late July, early August. So like I was super early. I had the benefit of that. And then also the benefit of already knowing several people in the space who had been around for a little while and like had credibility. So that's pretty much like how I got started. And I started investing a little bit here and there. But for the most part, I was just like posting my art and minting my art, trying to sell it.
Nice. What does what does your brother say? Because I got a sister which she's always hearing me talk, NFTs, this, that, stuff like that. And of course, being the sister, she's like, yeah, man, I hear you, but like, I don't know. So what is your brother thoughts on you doing all this stuff? Is he now like, what the hell, sis, or is he like hype on it? I guess what is his thoughts overall?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what he thinks. I actually have three brothers, and so they all like two of them have like kind of differing opinions probably, but I've been trying to onboard like one of my other brothers, and he seems like a little hesitant as well.
Always be the
So
family
yeah,
members.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. So I
Um,
think there's a little hesitancy there, but like, I mean, I'm doing what I love. I don't have to like, you know, I would want to like help bring them into it if they were up for it. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure what they think.
wow, that's what's up. With the I guess because you kind of said before you do I guess the art with the canvas and like you said now it's on the digital. Realistically, as an artist or maybe someone who's again maybe hopefully watching the podcast and thinking hey I want to get into it stuff like that. Is it a hard transition going from like canvas to I guess I don't know if you're using Photoshop and stuff like that. What type of transition or is there really a transition on that?
Yeah, it definitely is. There's definitely a learning curve. But as a painter, I taught myself a lot of like color theory and a lot about like the principles of art and design. So as someone with that knowledge, I can be pretty much I can pick almost any medium up and like already have like a solid knowledge of how to create like a good looking piece. It might not be necessarily like technically great if I don't have practice, but like that kind of those skills like translated into digital art. And so it was really difficult because I'm used to like, I mean, that canvas is like 4 feet tall,
Yeah, it's just
I'm used
huge.
to
It's fresh.
that or like, I mean, I created like a 30-foot mural once. Like I love working on these like big pieces and now I'm working on like this little iPad. So it's definitely different. But I mean, digital art is very forgiving. Like you can like copy paste, you can like delete. So it's almost like I wouldn't say it takes less skill, just the skill set is like very different. But I do really miss painting, and I have some plans to incorporate like physical art upcoming in like a next my next couple of projects. Yeah.
Nice. I guess just another question because now I'm just trying to think. I think it was on yours. I can try and find it on the Twitter. Like it was, I think it was back in Florida. You were, I guess, chalking stuff out on the sidewalk. If you're doing like you said, like the 30 like foot murals, things like that, um, is it? I'm assuming it is. Is it just like I guess measuring out kind of piece by piece, doing it section by section, or like what is the process behind making a huge piece? You know what I mean?
Yeah, so the piece was it was broken up into three sections. It was a portrait of like three different people. And so that was easy. I was like, okay, each one is 10 feet. And I was able to find like good reference pictures for each person, printed out pictures or made sketches and created like a grid on them. And then when I went to like the wall to actually paint it on, I drew in chalk a grid on the wall. And so then I started with like an outline, like looking at the grid that I had and the grid up on the wall and matching, like I can number the
From them.
spaces if there's a lot of
Nice.
spaces. Yeah, and go back and forth and like just to get like the proportions right. Because when you're so up close to something that's like 8 feet tall, it's really hard to gauge like the actual correct proportions. So that helps me like with like that base layer. And I do that same thing with like chalk murals or even sometimes like bigger pieces like this. Another kind of technique for that is using a projector. You can
Okay.
like set up a projector of like your sketch, your painting, your ideas, and like just trace it so that you get the proportions right. But yeah, working on that big of a scale is absolutely a challenge and requires like a lot of tedious planning.
Nice. With some of the stuff that I guess you're working on now, do you have anything you're in the works on? I guess now, or stuff that you can see. I see something being released tomorrow. I guess what are we looking at on this one? You got a
Yes. Yeah. So for tomorrow, I'm releasing a piece along with the SevenSwordsClan, which is an artist collective of, I believe, 12 or 13 artists on Solana. Extremely talented people. I'm so like lucky to be working with them. And this album, the theme is called shadow boxing. And my most recent piece is I chose to do a portrait of a friend of mine, and he's at his computer at his desk, like creating electronic music, which is, and then he has kind of like this creepy little shadowy goblin figure behind him. And the story behind that is my friend is a recovered drug addict. He actually was addicted to heroin for many years. And he told me that one of his like catalysts for coming to recovery was the fact that like multiple times he had lost his entire library of music that he created because of like a direct result of his use, either stuff got stolen or whatever it may be. um so he told me like one of the catalysts, he finally came to this point where he was like, no, it's not worth like losing my music again. It's I like that was like his passion, that was like his thing. And that's something that I wanted to portray in this piece, that he does still have that like shadowy, little cunning, creepy figure behind him that kind of represents like his past addiction. But the way that he is pushing that back and dealing with that and continuing to give meaning in his life is through his music. So shadow boxing is kind of like, I interpreted it as like battling with like the darkest parts of yourself. And so for my friend, it was his addiction, but he's been able to find something that helps, again, like give him meaning in his life, give him a reason like not to relapse. And luckily, like he's celebrated over like 10 years of recovery at
nice.
this point. Yeah.
Good shit, bro. And
Yeah.
and I think that's something that I guess is cool and with I'll use art, not necessarily of like art, like painting in, or because the music's art as well. Like that's crazy how that it can change people's life in general. Because like me, just personally, I rather listen to music than watch TV, and you know what I mean. And it'll be the TV on, or not even on, just be blanking. I just be jamming out. You know what I mean. So that's cool how art can affect it and just change people in general. Um, so one shout out to your friend for I guess being clean and just you know what I mean doing this thing. Shout out for you as well for telling the story, and just shouting him out on that one as well. And I like it because at first I didn't see, but now it makes sense maybe making the music and everything like that. How many pieces in general? Maybe not exactly on this. I guess I don't know this piece. How many pieces have you done on Salon in general?
Oh my gosh.
Roughly, I guess.
Let me think. So for my own collections, I probably have less than 30 pieces of just like independent things that I've created. But I was going through a period in September, I believe, like August and September, where I was creating a lot of commissions for people. So I do have on my exchange art page a different page for my collections of derivatives and commissions and gifts, things like that, that I've given people. So if you count that, I'm not sure. I might have like around 50 of those. But for my actual like independent art, I believe it's less than 30 pieces. I spend a long time on each piece. And as a result, like I only release a piece normally like probably once a month, if that, for my own collection, if it's not something like that I'm doing for another project. Um, it takes a little less time if I have some sort of like guidance or if it's a collaboration. But if it's my own piece, like I'm just such a perfectionist that it takes a long time. So I have a pretty small body of work.
Okay, and I mean, you kind of said it. And I guess takes a long time. Do you have like a certain honestly creative process? Like I kind of asked before. Do you kind of see like the vision before you make it, or you know, is it just write and go as you do, or like do you have a process, or is is everything different overall?
Yeah, for the most part, I do have a creative process where I'll envision something in my head or I'll become inspired by something that I see. And I'll continue. I don't really do like a lot of sketching when I'm creating like digital art because I could just like sketch and keep going over it and eventually make the piece. But yeah, I go through a process of either taking photos of like models that I have if I'm doing a piece that's like a skeleton kind of piece, like taking photos of the different body parts and looking up like reference photos, or if I'm doing a portrait of a friend, someone I know, which I love to do, I'll have to arrange like a whole photo shoot thing. And then I kind of just like jump into it. And it's funny, like for the most part, like my pieces don't always like end up how I think they're going to end up. I kind of just ride the wave and do my absolute best. And I'll sometimes like what I'm envisioning doesn't actually work out on the paper visually. It won't actually look nice. So I kind of just I continue like working hard and working on the canvas until I believe that it's done.
Nice. Um, I guess what would you say to artists that are thinking of coming over? Because I guess better question. What were honestly some of your hesitations at first as an artist coming over, and what was that transitioning point? Was it just the two people you were talking about before who just kind of helped you and you were like, you know what, I'm gonna do it because they're helping me? What were your reasons not doing it at first, and then why did you?
Yeah, so my hesitancy like came from I genuinely did not think that anyone was going to be interested in my work. I really didn't. I had seen a little bit of work that was on Solana, and a lot of it was pixel art, a lot of it was like 3D renders, or a lot of abstract art. And I really didn't see a lot of work that was anything like mine. You know, and I saw one artist though who really inspired me. His name is El Topo. I believe his handle is like at El Topo NYC. And he has kind of like a darker style, and he draws a lot of animals. And I he's like an illustrator, and I would say that my style is more like illustrative, photorealistic. So once I saw his stuff, I was like, okay, maybe this can work. And one of my friends that I was with who was onboarding me was a huge fan of his and was showing me his Olaplex. And like, I was just literally floored by the fact that people were spending money on art like that. Like, I had been doing a lot of commissions for the past like several years prior. And commissions were often like, oh, can you please do a portrait like of my dad or of my son or of my cat, you know? And so I knew that I had artistic skill and I could create something for someone if they told me what to do. But I honestly like never thought like that people would just create or people would want to buy art that I was just creating for myself unless I was marketing it. Like I've done t-shirts and stickers and those have sold well, but just a piece of art, like I was like, no way someone's gonna buy that. So that was my hesitancy, but I was like, you know what, I have nothing to lose. Like at that point I was working kind of like a dead end job, and I had been there for a couple of years. I was making okay money, but like I did not like the field. I was like doing administrative work in the medical field, and while I love like the medical field, like what it stands for ideally, like the reality of it is quite different and extremely frustrating and oftentimes not necessarily like patient centric. And so I was like kind of having a bit of a crisis, and I was like, all right, I will do literally whatever. And it helped that my reasons for doing it were I wanted to get my art out there. You know, I would have loved to be able to like make a little more money if possible. Like I said before, I didn't even think people were going to buy my art. But most of all, like my friends were really pushing me. They were like, Bridget, listen, like you don't have to try to do your art like anyone on Salon is already doing it. Like you just do what you do. People are gonna love it. Like you're gonna find your collectors. I was like, all right, man, I don't believe it, but if you do, like I'll do
Fuck
it,
it.
you know? Yeah. So I owe a lot to those folks because I don't think even with how easy it was compared to like Ethereum, like I don't know if I would have been able to do it like on my own.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, shout out to all of them for making it happen. Then on that one, um, I guess as a personal experience, how was that? How was that first time someone purchased your art? Like what is that feeling going back on? Like you just said, you're thinking, hey, no one's gonna buy the work. You know what I mean? It's it's a whole bunch of pixels, things like that everywhere,
Yeah.
and then someone purchased it as a just as an artist, as a person. What type of feeling is that? Like,
Um, it was absolutely mind blowing. I remember I had like one auction of one piece that I had like totally botched and like minted incorrectly, and someone bought it, but like I don't really count it as my first auction because it wasn't really a collection. Like it was actually an accident that I put it up for auction. So my first actual auction, I believe I had like five pieces, and I was just absolutely floored when I saw that people were bidding against each other. Like there was bidding wars for my pieces, like me, a nobody, you know, someone who doesn't have like a like educational background in art. You know, I've never been like featured in a gallery or anything like that. So it was
so
really,
when
really mind
when
blowing.
they're having those bidding wars, are you in the back with your skeleton just whoo? You getting hype on that one, like that has
Dancing
to be
around.
an absolutely just like a mind blowing, boggling feeling because we've had a lot of different like projects and artists come on, and honestly, that's something I always ask because I mean, ironically, I have two sisters. You know what I mean? One I've been telling about the crypto stuff. The other one, she's fucking dope with photos, and I'm trying to tell her, hey, come on over, but of course she love you, sis. Always excuses, everything like that. So now I'm like, listen, just send me the photos. I'll try and just show you where, because she's actually had something done, published by like National Geographic, where I'm like, you got some skills, but of course, like, the family thing is, yeah, okay, you know what I mean. So hopefully she'll get some friends that'll be like your friends and be like, no, just trust me, come on. So we'll see in due time on that one.
Hmm.
With the, so you got the I guess the auctions to tomorrow. Is it just tomorrow? How many is just the one piece? How many pieces are in that overall collection?
So it's like a visual album. Each artist did one piece, so I believe there's 13 pieces for that
Nice.
one for the Seven Swords Clan auction. And I believe, let me check the messages real quick. We were just trying to figure out if it was 24 or 48 hours. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a 48-hour auction.
Heard that.
Yeah.
And then people that are listening and what is Seven Swords Clan? You know what I mean, for people listening in general.
Yeah, so it's an artist collective. It was founded by another Solana artist named Highway, and it has, I believe we have like 12 different artists, and we create like monthly visual albums based around some kind of theme. It's inspired by Wu-Tang Clan.
Okay.
And so he kind of Highway wanted to take like that model of a bunch of artists like working together and kind of um, creating like a collective where people can come in, they can go. It can be like this ever evolving sort of collective that creates art and really like elevates artists because together, like we're all getting this attention and recognition that like individually we might not have been able to get. So it kind of like elevates us all and benefits us all in this space.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I guess is there a certain way I guess to try and I guess get in that type or deal? I mean maybe I can reach out and try to have them on the podcast sometime. But like for artists, because like you just said, if you're just doing your stuff by yourself, it can be a little bit harder, I guess, to get your name out there. What are some, I guess, tips you would try and let new artists know about on trying to how to get their name out? Like what pointers would you give
Mhm.
them?
Yeah, so to answer your first question, Seven Swords is invite only currently because of the amount of artists we have and the amount of just focus and time that each piece requires to keep the quality like high. But in the future, I'm not sure, it could possibly open up and we could welcome more artists. Not entirely sure. But for someone new, it's kind of tough because I feel like when I came in, the space was vastly different than it is now. And even like if someone would have asked me this question 2 months ago, I would have a different answer than like today, or 4 months ago, different answer. So I know that it's a lot easier to become onboarded nowadays. And so I would recommend that someone like when a new artist comes into the space, like trying to post your art, trying to follow people who inspire you, ask people questions. Something great about the community is that people are so like reachable. People are very accessible in this space. So reaching out to anyone that inspires you or anyone that you have questions for, I'd say like go for it. And I would recommend, so today's a very special date because Exchange came out with their auctions finally. So the easiest way yeah, woohoo. The easiest way for an artist now, I mean, it's very streamlined. They could just mint all their work on Exchange. They could, apply to have like a brand page or like their collection pages, get their collections approved, and start to auction them immediately if they have the audience to sustain and to justify an auction, or like list things at buy now prices. So I would direct them right to Exchange.
Heard that. Last couple questions because I already got you past the 30-minute mark on that. So sorry, but thank you as well. On and I'm trying to think of like if you're doing like the auction stuff like that, is because I've never sold a piece, anything in that nature of it. Is it something where you set a particular price point? Being I guess a new artist, do you I guess what would you say someone should I guess not list it on because I guess price wise because it could be all different, but I guess how do you price point your work if you know what I mean beforehand you thought no one is gonna want any of this stuff now people actually do like your stuff. how, as an artist, I guess, what is your mindset on that? Like, how does an artist think about that?
Yeah, so I mean, for every artist, it's different. It depends on what kind of audience they have, how many collectors already hold their work, what kind of other art are the collectors like buying, what kind of other prices are they like willing to pay, and then my own price history on my work. So from now on, I will at least all of my pieces are either starting at around 10 or 15 Solana, um, because of several reasons. One, the quality of the work. Two, like my presence in the space, my like visibility, and then my price history. So that's what I use to kind of gauge my own prices on. But for
Mhm.
someone new, I would say like a good starting price is zero point 0.5 Solana or 1 Solana, and just seeing kind of what happens, seeing if they're able to get traction in the space and create like some movement and some price history, and then just continuing to experiment. I mean, the worst thing I always tell artists is like the worst thing that could happen is it doesn't sell and then you put it up for less money. That's the
Yeah.
worst thing that could happen. Like, it's not like if something doesn't sell immediately, that doesn't mean it's a failure. Like, it's just a kind of a bit of like
Gotta find
a
that medium.
experimentation process. Yeah.
Um, Question, if you can, I guess, say some of the stuff, because if I remember kind of near the beginning of the conversation, you were thinking of about maybe starting a different project, or I forget exactly the term that you said, but it's gonna have like actual like tangible art. Is that correct? Can you speak on anything along on that, or is it still like it's a thought in the head? Like what is that?
Yeah, no, I can speak on it. So I'm currently in the middle of a collection entitled Memento Mori. I had one piece come out in, I believe, mid-November, and I've been working on another piece that'll be released on February 1st. So both of those are digital art pieces. And the third and final piece of that collection is going to be painted on a large black canvas. I'm not sure if it's going to be around this size, but it will be large. And so I'll be, hand painting with acrylic for that piece, and then going to take high quality photos, mint those, and when I auction it off, the winner of the auction will receive the actual full canvas of the piece. So it's not just like a high quality print or anything like that. It is like the actual art piece that I spent hours and hours with, like physically like creating. Um, so that's like the first time I'm offering something like that. I have shipped a few like t-shirts and stickers to early collectors, but nothing that's like actual, like my physical work. So I'm really excited for that.
No, that'd be super fresh. Just cause one, I mean, I got my little canvases that I did back in high school. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
they're, I guess the personal, maybe not emotional attachment, but like it's one of those first things. So it's kind of the same type of deal. Say if I'm bidding on your work and everything, and I get it, it's one of those. Like honestly, it would be whoever gets it. They're gonna take a picture of it like in their home, like hung up, and it's gonna be. I bet you it's gonna be one of those crazy feelings where it's gonna be like, damn, like that's my artwork, and someone loves it that much that it just has to be a cool ass feeling. Um,
Yeah.
I guess the kind of overall, I mean, over realistically, I guess last question on that, because again, I don't want to keep holding up everything on there. Was there anything that I guess you're excited on just the community in general, or some of the stuff that I guess we really haven't talked about that you've wanted to let people know about you, or the artwork, or anything we haven't really touched upon so far?
Well, I'm just really excited for what the Seven Swords will have in store over the next few months or year. And I am really excited to finish up my Memento Mori series and see where I can take my art and further like elevate it after that. I'll go ahead and announce this here because it's a
Mm-hmm.
ThugBirdz podcast. I will be doing an airdrop for certain ThugBirdz coming out in the next couple of weeks. So I'm working on that.
Okay.
And I would highly recommend obtaining a bird that has either a pink background or some kind of pink or light pink body feathers color. So that's just my
Sounds just a little
recommendation.
bit of alpha. Heard that. Roger that.
A
Roger.
little bit, yeah. So I just wanted to like drop that little knowledge nugget here on the podcast.
No, we appreciate that. For people that are listening in, I guess where's the best way to find you, either get in contact with you, look at your work? Where can people find you at?
Yeah, so I'm on Exchange Art. You can just search Pink Skull Queen. You'll be able to find all my collections. I'm currently working on my website, which is just my full name, BridgetEleanorMerkel.com. And on Twitter, you can find me. My handle is Pink Skull Queen, all one word.
Heard that. Pretty sure they're the only person that fully doxed everything about them on that one. Because I got 2 middle names, but I ain't no one know that right now. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
But no, hell yeah, that's what's up. Honestly, on that one, then I'm gonna go ahead and end it. So kind of like before, and stick around for a quick second, but realistically, I want to say thank you again for coming on, take some time out of your day, and just sharing a little about yourself. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
100%. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you know what time it is. Once again, let's get a round of applause for Pink Skull. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, one more time. If you're not already, go ahead and follow at Pink Skull Queen. Do yourself a favor, take a look at her art, and you know what time it is. Stay fresh, y'all. Stay clean. Stay positive. I'm going to call you out one more time. Don't worry, no one can see you, but can I get a call from you? Awesome. Y'all have a good one. Till next time, y'all. Peace.